You're watching Terrace Talks, real folks. Here on our second channel, Dem Butlers Unplugged. I am Cass.
I'm Doug.
And you're the Butler Brigade. You guys, we've been looking forward to this one. And again, if you've been following our Terrace Talks, you realize this is just raw conversation, unedited, unscripted, as if we invited someone over to our terrace. And this one is actually a really, really good one because so far it's kind of
good.
I know, but this one is really like a real introduction, like an elevator talk. Like you just met somebody, you're like, oh my gosh, let's talk, because I know of this gentleman, but I don't know this gentleman. This is our first real formal introduction. I follow him on TikTok, but we're going to take some time to allow him to introduce himself and tell us his name and where in Panama, the country, do you reside, as broad as you would like to be, and how long have you been living in Panama? And then we'll do an icebreaker. So go right ahead. Floor is yours.
Good. So thanks for the invite. I appreciate both of you. And I have watched your material. So no. It's, Panama's a small country, right? You're one phone call away from knowing everybody. So it's good. At the same time, you don't talk bad about people because you're going to run into them at Auburn Mall. So
or you might run into somebody that also knows them. That's another one.
Right. So my name is Schurz. I landed in Panama in 1988 initially, and I was here for about 4 years. I was a military person on the Atlantic side, right? I was with the military police, 549th Military Police Company for a little while, and then I deployed to Costa Rica for a while to augment some engineers from Fort Benning, Georgia. I came back to Panama. Okay, there we go. I came back to Panama and I was put in charge of the drug suppression team from the Atlantic Branch Office, CID, on Fort Davis, all the way up until the invasion, which the anniversary was yesterday, right? 36 years. And after the invasion, I was selected to be the law enforcement advisor to the new Panamanian National Police in Cologne, which means I work downtown at the police station in Cologne.
Yes.
And I did that until I left Panama in 1991 the first time, and they sent me to the armpit of the military, which is Fort Devens, Massachusetts.
Oh my God.
And I re-enlisted to get out of there and went to Fort McPherson, Georgia, FORSCOM headquarters, right? So I went from Panama to Massachusetts to Georgia. But anyways, and I think it's very important for me to say this, but I was the first American to adopt a Panamanian in Panama in 1990. And my daughter is Cunandian.
Wow.
And they didn't even know how to do it. They had no idea. It was no American had ever adopted a Panamanian.
Adopted someone,
let alone an indigenous.
So, right.
There's a whole big story to that, but it's part of my journey with Panama and my connection with Panama, right? So I went back to the States and raised my family, but I stayed in connection with Panama through missionary work. For 3 decades, I was in and out of Panama, and I supported church plantings and missionaries from the Darien up to David. And a few years ago, and your husband will understand this, as a veteran, mentally I was struggling in the States. My expectations, most people weren't meeting those. And dealing with the political division and again, it's very hard for military people who have served overseas to assimilate back in the United States. It's extremely difficult. And I never did. So a few years ago, I made the decision, I'm leaving, and I got residency in Mexico. The problem, actually San Miguel de Allende. But the problem is I didn't like the expats there. There were a bunch of hippies from the Northwest U.S. and I'm leave me alone, stay out of my business. I don't want to hear about your kumbaya.
You go. You're like a bigger fish to fry.
And again, I'm truly, I know I'm an anomaly, but I don't care what you look like or who you sleep with, or I truly don't care. I've got enough problems myself, right? And it's hard to focus on me when I'm focusing on you, who are then focusing on me. So I'm a strong person of faith,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's a big part of my life. I was actually a pastor in Indiana for a while, but
You're just
after
surprising me with everything here. Police officer,
I'm telling
veteran,
you, I'm a walking
missionary.
Netflix series. I am a walking Netflix series. The amount of stories I could tell you. But anyways, I made the decision to come back to Panama, and I came back to Panama on a family reunification
Okay.
because my daughter was born in
He's born
Panama, even
here.
though she hasn't been to Panama since she was 8 months old.
Wow.
Okay, she can't speak 3 words of Spanish. She lives in South Carolina.
Yes.
Um, but that's how I returned to Panama.
Uh-huh.
And my intention was just to ride off into the sunset. Panama feels like home to me. I was going to go fishing on Gatun Lake every day and just leave me alone and I'll just die in peace.
Okay.
But I'm an entrepreneur at heart, right? I've been, a financial planner since 1996. And I've seen some voids here in Panama
Ooh, I love this.
that I actually kind of like you. I wasn't a big social media person. I had a radio show for 20 years. So
Mhm.
public speaking is one thing, and I don't tell people where it's at because people will then judge me. But it was not on a liberal news station.
Okay,
Okay.
understand. Understand.
Um, and 5 days a week, for 20 years, and my show was between Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity, if that
That
tells you
says a
anything.
lot right there. You just got it.
Okay. Again, it causes people to judge me. Therefore, I usually don't say that because
No.
I'm truly agnostic. I'm just like, do your own thing, I'll do mine. But I noticed, some things going on in Panama, and I started doing some videos on some of the old military installations where I served.
Mhm.
And some of my old buddies, that I was stationed with, were like Jay, more info, right?
More
So I
info.
started doing
Yeah.
more videos. Well, as well as I do, when you start talking about Panama, all of a sudden you go from like 3 people watching you to 30,000,
There you go.
and they're like, "How do I do what you did?"
Yeah.
So I affiliated with a law firm here in Panama, and I said, "Look, I've got a lot of people asking me, and I know Panama probably better than most Panamanians, and I'm going to educate."
Hmm.
Okay, and anybody that has a question about Panama, I'm just going to refer them to you. That was great for about 6 months.
Okay.
And then, the only thing I've been born with, the only thing I have in my life is my name. So when the immigration firm wasn't responsive to these people,
Understood.
they come back to
They
me
come
saying,
back
"Hey,
to you. They come back to
you
you.
referred me, but these people, it's been a month," and
It's a
so
bad look. It's a
I'm
bad
like, damn it.
look. Hmm.
So I thought I ran a investment advisory firm for 30 years. I could run an immigration firm. And I did. I created Pana Junglaadvisory Group back in 2024. And I found my attorney because I was bad mouthing Panamanian attorneys.
And you had to
Uh,
get an attorney. So,
yeah, there were about 15 that contacted me, said, "Hey, I want to work with you." And you understand why. It's because I
yeah,
had a lot of
you had a
people
lot of,
on the,
yeah.
but I finally found one that, and this is going to be terrible to say, but didn't work on a Panamanian schedule, but worked on my schedule.
No, that's not
Okay.
terrible.
No, that's not
That's
terrible
not
to
terrible at
say.
all.
That's real.
Because again, like your husband, most veterans don't sleep, and I don't.
Hmm.
And if I have someone that messages me at 10 o'clock at night and I've got a question, I expect my attorney to be able to answer it at 10 o'clock on a Sunday night.
Okay.
So that's how I brought in that attorney. But moving forward, and I'll make this quick, the response, just like our conversation before we got on here.
Uh-huh.
I understand I'm a little bit controversial, maybe a lot, because I'm very direct.
Very direct.
Um, and again, a lot of what I say is based on experience plus opinion. And I usually will differentiate fact versus opinion. This is
Understood.
fact. This is my opinion. But
Uh-huh.
my opinion is based on experience. So when I say things like colorism or classism or racism, you have to understand my Panama is about 2 layers deep.
That's
All
correct.
right, because I understand the darker side of Panama because I put a lot of Panamanians in prison. Right.
Hmm.
So I know how things work here. I understand the Jewish community and the
Right.
Lebanese Jewish in the free zone, so there's a lot of things that when expats or potential expats or when they're looking at Panama, they never hear those kind of things.
Right. Right. Because they only hear the
Right? And
good.
I'm just like, look, Panama may be the perfect fit for you, but I want you to understand there's a lot of things going on here that you may not be aware of.
Right.
Right? Doesn't mean that it's not a good place for you,
Right. No,
but
I get what you're saying.
it, and it's always the mom test, right? So would I want my mother to know this? And if it's something that's not important and I don't want to listen to her, I'm not going to say it. But
Okay.
if it doesn't pass the sniff test for
This is
allowing
important
my own
information.
mother
Yeah.
to relocate here, then I'm going to say something.
Yeah.
Again, it's education. I present it. You figure it
Do what
out.
you want to do with it. That's all I did was
Exactly.
tell you about it. You, Jay, I know
So
myself watching you on social media. I appreciate that. I do. But because you and I, we just said this. My experience is, and your experience can be two different experiences, but they were still our experience. That doesn't mean yours was
exactly.
wrong and mine was right. It's just two different perspectives. That's all.
Well, it's no different than someone going to a steakhouse and you go yesterday and your steak was great, and I go today and it's like eating a tennis shoe, right?
Exactly.
So, but again, all you're doing is providing information,
Take it
right?
what you want to do with it.
And then people can make a decision. If it's a priority issue, then they need to research it more,
I thoroughly agree
right?
on that. And no
You
one should
know,
be telling anyone all good about any. First off, I don't want to hear all good about anything because that's just not a logical resource. In my
the,
home country, in the neighborhood we're in right now, there is no all good. There is no all good. So just because I
well,
have something that's not good to say about Panama, that doesn't mean that means Panama's not good. It just
well,
means I'm going to tell you this.
you have to follow the money, right? So when
Okay.
people are only talking about
The
good,
good.
why?
Say it again,
Why?
Jay. Why are they only
I
talking
mean,
about the good?
and I tell people the same thing about neighborhoods in Panama City. If you want the best sidewalks in Panama City, where are they?
Where are
Patilla. They're in Patilla. They got brand new red sidewalks. Where is the synagogue in Panama?
it's in Petilla. You got to go with the money.
Again, I don't want to go too crazy with this, but I'm just saying, follow the money.
Follow the money.
So when I say something controversial on TikTok or whatever it may be, and people will jump on there and say that's not true, many times those people have a money connection to
Know
to
that.
to what I
To
just said.
influence you. Jay, although Cedric and I are not in a business here, we're truly creators. Uh,
Right.
we still get keyboard warriors in this
Mhm.
section as well because they cannot figure out our hook. What's the reason for you? They're giving information, but they're not tour guides. They're giving information, but they don't do one-on-one calendar appointments for $100 an
Mhm.
appointment. They don't do relocate, and there's nothing wrong with that because we provide relocation tour information. You're one of the companies. You're one of the companies that's listed on our list when people go, "Who can I contact?" But if we say something, as you just said, that they feel don't line their pocket, it must
Mhm.
be wrong. Those new people,
Well,
they just got here. They still wet behind the ears. They don't know what they talking about.
well, so and I said the same thing to our mutual friends that we discussed.
Yes.
And the conversation was, do I monetize what I'm doing? And I said, that's an American mentality to capitalize everything that you do.
There you go.
But there are literally millions of people that would love to hear your story,
Right.
right? And focus on that. And the backside of that is this. Someday we're not going to be on this planet.
Okay.
And what a great thing for your grandchildren that you've never met
Say that.
to be able to see grandma or grandpa talking about their journey to Panama. What a great thing. So you both are doing great things. They are doing great things. It doesn't have to be a monetary thing,
It
right?
doesn't.
But the value that on the backside is incredibly higher than making $50 an hour on the front side.
and
right?
and we stay true to ourselves. Cedric and one of the things that we share on our channel, and I'm so glad you said, is that everyone doesn't leave the United States or wherever their home country is because they cannot financially make it. You having this financial background, I have so many questions. I got like 10 more minutes. I got so many questions I'm going to ask you that I'm going to ask.
No problem.
It's like, because you got like, there's some gems you just shared that I'm like, oh my gosh, I got questions. And everybody's not running from their home country. For us, that happens to be the US. We 10-year planned this process. We 10 years financially planned this process. So I know you
Uh-huh.
can appreciate that in regards to being debt free in the United States, having nothing that we have to financially take care of as a responsibility in the United States, and not having to come here and only making only 12.50 that allows you to get the pensionada, because it's just not possible. That's our view.
Sure.
That's what we're going to say to the end of time. And the way that most people would have to live to survive on that, most U.S. Americans do not want to live that lifestyle.
Won't do it.
They're not going to do it. You're not going to do it. Can you do it? We'll never say you can't do it. Do you want to do it? I'll say no. One of my first videos was watching you say that. And so I'm like, that's what we've been saying as well. And we got ate up as well. It's like, it doesn't exist. Please, you're doing yourself mathematical financial harm to move here, and you barely make over $1,000 as a solo person, or barely over 1250 as a couple. You're not going to make it.
You wouldn't believe what I've seen here.
Oh no,
We do.
we do.
It's morally the people that, and I'll be the first to slam a Panamanian attorney, but to allow yourself to take that low hanging fruit, to make $800 legal fees, to bring in someone that's earning $1,200 in Social Security income with no emergency funds, no credit cards, nothing.
Nothing.
Morally, that doesn't pass the mom test again, right?
Yeah.
You know, so again, anytime that immigration or relocation has a price tag, there are going to be people that lower their standards to try to get that, right?
Okay.
You know, there are hundreds of part-time attorneys in Panama City doing immigration, right? I mean, literally not working for a large firm. They're just out here, just whatever they can find in the street. And they're bringing those kind of people in. And ultimately, it's going to end badly for these
It
people.
is going to end badly. Jay, we say the same thing. Either where you're going to have to financially live for housing is more than likely not going to be a place you want to live. What are you going to do with your first medical emergency? What do you do when you need to get back and forth to your home country? Just surviving. You're not going to want to live on beans and rice and the lower, more economical food that most Panamanians have to do on that income. And I'm not going to tell an American that you can. I'm not going to do it.
Well, so and let me, please, if I could, let me say this. So
Yes.
the focus on what I do is veteran relocation,
Please
right?
tell about it. Please do.
And the reason is because veterans normally pass the sniff test for me. All right. They understand relocation. They went from here and they started a completely new life here, and they have to do it within like 3 days.
Okay.
Right.
That's correct.
The other thing is, in Panama, I know what they're making as a VA disabled vet, if that's their qualification, or if they're retired, which again passes the sniff test. You know, they've got sufficient income to not just survive but thrive in Panama.
Okay.
And lastly, most veterans, if they're in Panama, have a minimum foreign medical program. Right.
Correct. That's
So
correct.
anytime I'm talking to people, there's two things I'm looking for: your sustainable income, and what happens whenever you have a Fred Sanford, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, seriously.
so veterans do better moving abroad. They just do. Not all of them, but many times they do. And they're scattered throughout Panama. You don't even know how many are here because some want to be around other people. Some of them are like, leave me the hell alone. I'm going up to Santa Fe. I'm going to live in a $300 a month apartment with me and my chicken, and I'm done.
You're right. You're right.
But I feel better knowing that they're going to be okay. And then the next is like federal employees, obviously do very well here. But lastly, when someone's walking in with Social Security and or a pension, My concern is what happens when the primary pension earner passes away? What happens to the surviving spouse?
That's correct.
Again, these are all things that are huge considerations, and the relocation firms are not
They're not
discussing.
telling them that.
That's a big deal.
Jay, have you in your consultations, I feel like I know the answer, but have you said Panama is probably not right for you right now? There's probably some other place that would be better for you.
50%, about 50%. I'm telling you, I'm difficult on. You've got to pass my sniff test. And I say this with all humility. I've done well in life. I don't need to make $250 on a pensionado. You know what? Again, back to I want to help you find your smile, and from the selfish standpoint, I want to feel okay doing it.
Okay.
Right? But I'm not going to bring you in here just to make. There's no money in. First of all, just to be clear, there's no money in immigration.
No.
Right?
Right.
It is.
It is almost at cost.
If I did 100, I may make 20 grand.
That's what I'm saying. It's almost at cost. Most immigration attorneys are almost pretty much charging you whatever the industry is. Yeah.
So when you scratch, you got to look. Just like we mentioned, why are you doing it? I'm doing it because I'm super attached to the veteran community, and I'm going to not say the F word, but no, I'll use the S word. No one gives a shit about veterans except veterans.
That's true.
You know, on Veterans Day, everyone's like, Happy Veterans Day. But when it comes down to surviving, no one cares about us. So I am a person that actually cares. It is not from a financial reason. It's because I know what I've dealt with personally. And some of my very, very close friends that are struggling, I'm like, there has to be a place that we can actually be happy for just a little bit of our lives.
And right? There's happiness here with veterans. Jay, I can't speak on behalf of yourself, but as his spouse, Cedric is a completely different person. The U.S. Cedric is not Panama Cedric. He's relaxed. He's not on edge. He's not on, or I should say, on higher edge. I don't think as a veteran that served overseas, they're ever not on edge. I think there's just the underlining part that has to be, but it's
in Panama, it's different triggers for veterans. Traffic, right? You know, or slow movers, right?
Yeah.
So there's different triggers. So we're never going to be like 100% happy. But if we're 70-30, that's still better than 50-50 in Dallas or Florida. Right.
50. Yeah. He's more or less than 90,
so
95.
Again, I still have that 30% in Panama. There are days that I don't want to leave the house.
Yeah.
I'm just like, it's just not a good day for me.
Okay.
But 70% of the time, I'm fine. You know, never perfect, but I'm better. Okay. And Cedric, I think you'll validate this. As we age, we are more aware of our mental health. We are more aware of our physical health. I mean, you know, as my dad would say, he was also a financial planner. There's a point in your life where the sun is starting to set, right? Yeah. And you become more aware of things. Well, I didn't want the sun to set where I was at in the States. Okay. I am a patriot. I am. I love the United States. But for someone who has experienced 20, 21 different countries, I realize there's happiness outside the United States.
Sure is. It's not as great as it's not the best. It is a love, and we love the country. It's our home.
There's certain things like a big fried tenderloin sandwich, you know, in Indiana for sure, or you know, etouffee in New Orleans.
In New Orleans, I know what you think. So, Jerry, I think you're a food lover. You a foodie?
I've done well. I've done well at the dining room table, but you know, again, and I encourage you, and you're doing great stuff, is just tell the truth about what Panama is, right? Just tell the truth. There's always going to be some good. There's always going to be a little bit of bad. And then it's not your responsibility to make their decisions, right? Just journey what you're doing. You're doing great work. And I appreciate you and I support you for doing it.
Thank you, Jay.
If more people would just do this, and there are,
they're coming out.
Moving in,
they're coming out.
And I want to support that. But let me throw this in real quick.
Oh, Jay.
So when it comes to Panama, I don't know anyone who knows Panama as well as I do, except one person, and
Okay.
his name is Jason Cook,
I don't think I've even heard him.
because he's not big on social media. But Jason Cook, his family, his dad was a missionary that moved to Panama in the 70s to be a missionary to the leper colony here in Panama.
The leper.
Okay. Uh-huh. Panama was the last remaining country to have a leper colony. And there's still leprosy in Panama. Yes. Yeah, yes. Again, I'm telling you.
We're listening to you. Go ahead.
Okay. So when they got to Panama, they're originally from Kokomo, Indiana. The leper colony wasn't there. They're like, so they were in the jungle, and the indigenous, just like the Indians and the Pilgrims,
There you go.
they helped them survive.
Yeah, they help.
Okay. And eventually, Jason went back to the States. I think he ran a trucking company and a Bells bond company. But right now, Jason is back in Panama in the Darien province.
In the Darien, okay.
He has set up a radio tower, and he has created some self-sustaining farming for the indigenous. So, for example, here in Panama City, people throw out like waste from restaurants. They collect that waste and they put it in a field, and it grows. Right?
Like compost.
He has figured out how to feed a chicken for like $1.39 a year. Right?
Come on.
The guy he's so much more intelligent than I could ever consider being. But when I've got a question, I'm like, Jason, what do you think?
What do you think?
You know, what's going on? His wife is Chinese.
Mm-hmm.
But when I need a below the surface opinion, that's who I go to.
Okay.
I'm like, what's going on? I mean, you know, for example, the migrants through Panama. We don't see it here.
No.
But I had a missionary friend, his name is Tim Drinkard, that was providing services to the refugee camps in the Darien, and there were several thousand people in those refugee camps in Panama, and no one talks about it. And most of them were from the Middle East.
Oh.
The Middle East.
Yes, I'm telling you, what's going on in Panama, you'll never see it on the surface.
On the surface level.
Right. So I actually bought a 4-wheel drive pickup for him to be able to get into the refugee camps.
That was wow.
And they were doing it from a faith-based standpoint. They were delivering materials, but you know, people think, oh, it's all Colombians and Venezuelans. No,
it wasn't. Yeah, but they honestly did think that.
Asians and from the Middle East. And you know, the next question is, how are they getting up? Well, they're paying the coyotes, right? From Venezuela, Colombia, up through the Darien Gap, and they're being left, and they're dying in the Darien Gap.
That's the hardest part to cross, is that area right
but
there.
Once they make it up, how are they getting to the States?
Well,
it starts with the sea, and it's.
I was getting ready, well, you were saying that part. I was getting ready to say it's them things that float in the water up there, but we're saying the same thing.
No, the cartels are bringing them up yeah. So again, out of sight, out of mind. People are like, it's not happening. It is happening here. And the last thing I'll tell you is this. You know, I mentioned my daughter was an orphan, Kuna orphan.
Mm-hmm.
I've got an orphanage right down the street from me, and it's from 0 to 6 years of age. Right now in the States, how long would a baby stay in an orphanage before they're adopted?
Oh,
no idea.
Days, hours.
Well, yeah,
a baby, a baby.
They're not being adopted here, because the adoption, it's illegal for an American to adopt in Panama now. But the adoption laws are so difficult in Panama because at any time a family member can come in and say, "That's my niece."
They get priority. They get them back.
Yeah. So you could raise a child for 15 years and lose that child at age 15 if a long lost cousin shows up. So people are very hesitant.
I would be too.
You know, and I've got a couple of friends from North Carolina that operate Heart's Cry. Heart's Cry. That's disabled Panamanian children here in Panama City, and they will never be adopted. Never.
Now, we get a lot of people, and right now they're asking in our WhatsApp group, where can they volunteer, time, financially, gifts, just different stuff. Do any of these organizations take volunteers? I mean, I'm going to assume everybody would love financial
Um,
assistance?
so living right down the street, and they come and play right in front of my house, you know, and there will be volunteers there maybe 2 or 3 days a month. Like they'll have a special event day. But by and large, there's not. Hearts cry. If you'd imagine a disabled child, they need one-on-one care,
Yeah.
right? Versus an orphanage that's got 12 kids. One or two caretakers, you're fine. An orphanage full of disabled children, it's kind of like 1 to 2 or 1 to 1.
Yes. Yes, for obvious
So
reasons.
financially, they are in great need. But that it's Heart's Cry, and it's easy to remember their last name because it's the same as our Secretary of Defense or Secretary of War, Pegspeth, right? But they're from North Carolina and they're great people. But that leads to a very important topic for expats, which is sense of purpose,
Find your reason.
right?
Find your.
Because you got the 6 month honeymoon phase,
Mhm.
and then you're going to wake up one day and say, what am I doing in Panama? Was this a good decision? So for those people that have that charitable heart, there are
Yeah,
things for them to do here.
I
If
definitely
they're up,
want that
if they're
information.
up, if they're up at Boquete or David, there are food centers that feed once a day that they can volunteer at. There is always a need in Panama, but people have to do just a little bit of research on their own and find out what's the closest,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
It could
And
be
that's the
time.
key. That research on their own
Well,
part.
we're finding out that all of you, we give so much information. A lot of people will not take the effort.
To go look it up
Lazy.
themselves.
Lazy. You can say it. The lazy.
Lazy. I mean, they want you to handhold them from their couch to
That,
life.
yeah. Google, Chat GPT. I mean, but again, you just have to drive right over those people.
Okay.
Either that or they'll consume your time.
They will
Right?
consume that 80 and I'm glad there are two things I definitely want to get out before, because I could talk to you all day, Jay. I can
Yeah, no
already tell.
doubt.
No, seriously, you're like you're a wealth of knowledge, and I see why people gravitate towards you for your knowledge. One thing is you definitely mentioned that you are a financial advisor. I'm thinking about the person that's sitting at home watching this going, my resources, my finances are not right yet, but eventually I want to be able to be retired and live the life. Do you provide that type of assistance, or is it a matter that financial planning, tell me where your financial planning or your help?
I'm actually next week. I'm officially retiring as a financial advisor. Well, no. So I own an investment advisory firm in Florida. It's called Kingdom Global Advisory Group. But 30 years of doing anything is a long time.
Yeah, it is.
To be quite honest, I'm no longer relevant
Okay.
because a person can type in Chat GPT and provide much more information than I can. So
And
the only thing I kind of control is emotion. Take the emotional aspect out of it and just do factual. But on the relocation side, I still give that kind of advice. I'm not gonna. And people ask, "Hey, I've got $250,000 in my 401k." I'm like, "Okay, what are you trying to do here?"
okay.
Well, I want to relocate to Panama. Okay, well, you need to chart. You either going to have Charles Schwab International or international brokers, right?
That's it.
If you're really good at doing it yourself, international brokers. If you need an advisor, Charles Schwab International. So the financial planning piece of the puzzle is more of the estate planning side of
Okay.
relocation,
Please talk
right?
about that.
It is my biggest aneurysm causing issue in Panama. People are willing to pay a couple $1,000s for a relocation tour, right? But they won't spend $1,000 for an estate plan.
Say it again, Jay. Jay, within 2 weeks of us being here, not only did we have our aftercare death taken care of, our living will and trust in Panama, because it doesn't matter about the one in the U.S. I mean, I could go on and on. Access to our items. The only thing that we could not prepay in advance at that time, within being here in 2 weeks, was my body to be returned back to the U.S. by
You
air
can't prepay.
with air flight, with air carrier.
Yeah, I've developed a plan for Panama to do that.
And I now know, and I got to be honest, and we happen to be sitting with
Funeral director.
a funeral director who basically told us at that time, because this was like within 2 weeks of us being here. He goes, I'm basically saying that is a need. He had the conception of people come here, they die, they just gonna stay here. He's like, I guess there's a weird group of people like you, Cass, that need to get their body back. Cedric and I took our burial and everything taken care of in the United States. It did not behoove us to not do that here in Panama. People get here and they act like they're not going to die. They act like they're not going to die. Like you came to Panama and I guess you're a vampire now. You're going to live forever. One of our biggest things, Jay, when you want to get us on the tangent is you went and you zip line, but you don't have a healthcare policy nor a burial policy.
So again, that's the void conversation. And so I sent my right-hand person, I said, go to this 3 different funeral homes. We narrowed it down to 1. We created an expat final expense plan. And part of that, I said, look, it has to be different than what you already offer. He's like, well, what do we do? I'm like, well, other than a few friends of Panama, the people, their family members are not come to Panama for a funeral or, a memorial service. So set up a video conference of he's like, done, it's done. So people can attend the memorial from anywhere in the world.
Anywhere.
Right. It's not, I mean, for X, Gen X, that's above me. I'm like, I still use carbon paper if I could, but so, again, I say this until I'm
people here. What carbon paper? They don't have the slightest idea what that is. You had to use to lift it up and down to write on. Y'all, there's a whole generation that don't know what we're talking about, Jay.
Yeah, carbon paper. I would still use it. But, again, relocation anywhere in the world requires the front facing side of, I'm leaving this and I'm going to this, but dying outside the United States is the easiest thing. That is actually preferable, because if you're a stroke victim, or if you need assisted living or long-term care or whatever, and I say this, and I say it with 100% confidence, most expats are not going to stay in Panama.
No.
All right. No. Because they can't. Panama doesn't have Medicaid.
No. I know. Jay is speaking our language.
Yeah. So you've got home health care, assisted living, 24-hour custodial care. And I have said this on Facebook. One of the reasons I got off of it, because I'm tired of dealing with the derelicts, is, I say, what are you going to do when you need assistance? Well, it's so cheap in Panama, I'll just hire somebody. Great. Tell me about the labor laws here.
Say it again. 3 days. On that 4th day, they're what, Jay?
Full-time employee.
Come on, Jay. But
which means you're paying them for 13 months plus vacation. So now the person who says, I'm going to hire someone because they're so cheap, and I'll pay their Social Security here in Panama. I'll do it. Okay, you live in a 1-bedroom apartment. All right. But where are they going to live at? All right. So what you're telling me is you're not going to have a full-time 24-hour custodian. You're going to hire 3 over, because labor laws only allow 8 hours of work. Come on, Jay. And these people are like, what? I'm like, your ass is going back to the States. It's that simple. You're not, and you're here on $1,200 a month of Social Security, and come on. So again, that backside of being an expat is extremely important. And I'm not trying to put fear into people, but lack of a plan is not a good idea.
It's not a good
idea. And I don't care who takes this business idea, because I don't have time for it. A next of kin notification system on a global level is paramount.
Yeah.
If I asked an attorney, not mine, I'm like, if I died in my apartment in Panama, what happens? And they did this. I said, let me answer that for you. I'd lay there till I stink because no one's checking on me.
No, there is no one coming in and out. No, that's correct.
So a person living outside the United States needs to have a next of kin notification in their wallet, their purse, on the refrigerator, their next door neighbor.
Who sound like? Who does sound like?
If you don't hear from me in 3 days,
This is it.
you know, this is my daughter, this is my son, this is my brother. Or here's the other thing. You got me going.
Okay,
right.
come on with it.
What if I talk to my daughter twice a week
Okay.
and my daughter calls and can't get a hold of me? Who does my daughter call to check on me?
Check on me now.
Ooh.
Right.
Who's doing healthcare checks, wellness checks? Doesn't
All
exist.
those different
It
things.
does not exist.
That should scare the shit out of people.
Jay, when I say we did a whole Death Comes For You video, and this isn't rah with me and Cedric. I'm not. But we try to show people that if you don't have these steps planned, you're ill prepared. You can't come here in la vacation land. You just can't. You can't do it. First thing we did, we enrolled in STEP, but we enrolled in STEP everywhere. We got our individual next of kin listed there. Those next of kin are also listed on our refrigerator with access to every single thing that we have. That same list on our refrigerator was emailed to our next of kin, our immigration attorney, and also a realtor that we happen to, like, let's say we use you, they have that same form. We installed a digital door lock system that all emergency next of kin have their own password, passcode, because we're dead. We can't let you in. We're dead. How are you going to get in? You got to be able to get in. They all got that code.
You understand you are a dinosaur.
I do know
in
that.
Panama.
But when we say that, it's I don't want to do
No.
it. Baby, you're gonna die. You're gonna die.
Again, dying is the easiest part.
I'm dead. I don't have no worries.
But if you fall, and I tell people to reiterate
Fall
this,
and can't get up.
finish this. Help, I've fallen and
Can't get up.
Yeah,
and
get up.
literally, it can happen here in Panama. How do you get to your phone? How do you get to your phone? Who's calling you? I agree. Get your Alexa or whatever you're going to get to say, call Jay. I mean, you need to do something.
Again, I had to take myself from, I know how important these things are because I've been dealing with, my investment clients are not young people because young people don't have money. Right.
Right.
So it's all retirees. So I've seen this. I've seen people fall and break a hip and die 6 weeks later. I've seen people that, got remarried to someone they don't love just so they didn't have to live alone. I've seen it all. Right. And to take that experience, and it's a lot, and bring it here and see people just kind of like rainbows and unicorns.
Rainbows and unicorns.
I'm like, people, it bothers me, I mean, you can self-reflect and take care of everything you've got and even share these great ideas that you've done. And I applaud you for it because that is excellent. But to say that to somebody and they just kind of blow it off,
They do.
I think it's selfish and inconsiderate.
We said,
right?
Did we say that same word?
We do.
To die on your family, you left the U.S. You left the U.S. and you don't have a plan for how do they get your stinky, rotten body, and I'm not being funny, back to the U.S.
True. Did you see the video I did this morning on pets?
No, we haven't. You know what? Literally, when I was texting you, I was logging in, so I need to go watch that one. Well,
some people predecease their pets. What's your plan for your pets? Everyone brings their pets here.
They bring their pets.
Absolutely do.
But what's the plan? And those pets are their babies.
My sister runs a horse stables.
Okay.
And in the States, people plan. There are several hundred thousands of dollars in escrow accounts to take care of the horses when the owner dies. But if you bring Fido here and you die, and the Fido's 2 years old and you're 70, that dog's going to outlive you, right? What's your plan? Because it's going to a shelter and they're going to put it to sleep. So again, all these things, the front side's easy.
It is.
Immigration, how much is my part? Going to Mercado de Moriscos and look at me, but on the backside,
you don't take care of anything. And I know you see it. I tell people one of our babies, we say within 2 months, there's typically a medical health something of you being in Panama, and you can tell me about every great restaurant you went to. You can tell me about what there is to do on Avenue Balboa. You can tell me about nightlife. You can tell me about everything. But when you go, but then they hit our WhatsApp group and they're like, "Can anybody tell me a doctor that I need to go?"
Uh,
And I'm
yeah.
like, wait a minute, this isn't the same person that's been posting meals every day, is it? You mean to tell me you don't have a doctor?
Yeah. So you know as well as I do, not everyone is. I got to say this kindly. Intellectually mature enough to relocate.
Oh, we said, oh, you're doing better than us, Jay. We'll sit there and say it. We sit on that's why we're not appreciated, because like you just said, we're a little too raw. Cedric is the jokester. He's being very calm right now because he's really appreciated. I can tell he's enjoying the engagement because Cedric has never, for those watching, he's never watched Jay. He has no idea who Jay is, and he's like, man, I like this guy, and I can tell. He's like, I like this dude. I get along with him. Well, I've seen him, so the way Jay talks don't bother me because ironically, I'm almost a female version of him. I'm just a little bit softer. Jay has the military background. Obviously, he has the actual police background, and then he's just a business owner. He just gonna bring it to you raw and unfiltered. I still got a little mother hen in me. Well, I'm gonna say the same thing, but I say it a little softer.
Well, so maybe I can give you just a little piece of advice. So when you're talking to people, you know, the availability to visit Panama for 6 months at a time. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm telling people you're not really a candidate for relocation long term.
No.
But come to, you know, snowbirds are coming to Panama now because it's cheaper than Florida, right?
Say that too.
Mm-hmm. Come and stay for 4 or 5 months. Buy you a travel insurance plan that includes everything you need, and then go back home if you need Medicare and whatever.
Whatever else.
So don't get me started about the Medicare conversation.
Okay, we gonna let that out.
I will get my ass sued.
No, you won't. No, you won't. I see, Jay, we are truly 100% going to have to do another conversation. There is Cedric and I come from Dallas, Texas, and there's a sportscaster, Pete Delkis. And my first time ever watching, for those of you that's from Dallas, Texas, Pete Delkis, he actually retired. Well, the first time I ever watched it, you reminded me of even the way your twang comes out of right. Pete Delkis. Pete Delkis he used to do the sports. He used to fall out with Jerry Jones all the time. Y'all, I know I'm giving y'all too much information here, but he used to fall out with Jerry Jones all the time because he would say literally on the air, I'm 75 years old and I got a whole lot of vacation. I don't give a shit. He would just say it. And he would just talk about people. He's like, I know I look like an old white man that you all think that I like your racist views, but I got biracial grandchildren. I don't think like y'all. Yeah. Don't get it. And this is how he would say doing the sports. Yeah. This is the sports.
Well, good for him. Well, I can tell you in this pile of stuff back here, I have a Department of Insurance complaint letter for some of the people here in Panama for misrepresenting Medicare Advantage. I haven't had a bad enough day where I've sent it, okay. But the first victim that I hear that followed one of these knucklehead people talking about Medicare Advantage, you know, I thought that it was going to pay for. My only advice is Medicare Advantage, call your plan carrier and ask them if you cover me in Panama past 6 months. That's all I tell people to do.
I heard Jay say this and I repeated it. There are numerous people that first off, my statement is if it starts with Medi, period, it's for the U.S. Period. It's for the U.S. Medi, whatever, it's for the U.S. When you have Medicare and when relocation teams are telling you you have coverage in Panama under emergency, one of the statements that Cedric, I say it because Cedric pretty much listens a lot, is how many of those emergencies do you think you're going to be able to have and file before Medicare sit there and go, wait a minute, you in Panama a little too much to be having an emergency. Wow. They understand that you can go on vacation once and you might have slipped and fell, you need health care. But now when you there, file number 2, file number 3, file number 4, what do you think is going to happen? When they say emergency, they really mean one-time emergency.
Jay knows.
Go ahead, Jay. Let the people know what they're saying.
All of a sudden, people who leave the United States are now trusting insurance companies. Seriously? We've been getting stuck in the ass for 25, 30 years from insurance companies, and now we're going to trust them?
Right.
They don't want to pay a claim.
All they have to do is find out you're outside the United States for more than 6 months or outside of your zip code where you bought the plan, and they'll drop you. All right.
Wow.
And then we use another third party provider that's based in Mexico who has more complaints than most politicians that are processing the claims.
Oh God, it's a train wreck.
It's a train wreck.
You know,
God.
all you gotta do is look up Lakeside Community.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. He said, go look it up. Use Google.
There's two parts to what I said. Lakeside Community, which is Ajijic, Mexico. But there's a provider there that does third-party processing for claims. And just look at the reviews. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to
Okay.
say anything else.
He said, I don't say anything else.
But
Read
now
it
they're
yourself.
processing Medicare Advantage plan claims in Panama, and I'm just like,
How long
you
do
know,
think they're going?
if I were going to a restaurant and I had nothing but 1-star reviews, I probably
Would
wouldn't
you eat
eat
there?
that.
Would you eat there?
Well,
And I mean, you know, gas station sushi, I'm going to avoid. You know,
we have found that if you talk to people that are coming here and they are so diehard to get here, and even though it's a bad idea, and they want to be hand fed, if you say, hey, read these reviews, they won't do it. But if you tell them about it, they say it's the gospel. Like, oh my God. Wow.
so
Laziness.
statement. It's kind of like sex without a condom, right? You know it's a bad idea,
But it
but
feels
you
so
still
good.
do it.
You still
right?
do it.
So again, it's not our responsibility
To walk them through like
to
that.
make them do something. If you say that's a snake and it's going to bite you, and they still pick up the snake, that's their fault. It's not your fault. It's not my fault. It's their fault. You told them that snake's going to bite them.
Yeah.
You can't do anything else.
Jay, this has been a joy. I could talk to you all day. I really could. And I know people that are sitting here watching this going, how can I reach him? I like him.
So
I like the straight no chaser.
So the name of my firm here is Pana Junglaadvisory Group. And people want to know what Pana Jungla means. Let me tell you.
Okay.
Back when I was in the military here, you had Jungle Operations Training Center, which was the jungle operations training for the U.S. Army, Delta Force, Rangers, everybody.
Okay.
And then the Panamanians had their own school called Pana Jungla.
Okay.
And very few people were ever selected to do that. But Pana Jungla was not warfare operations; it was survival.
Okay.
And survival in Panama, right?
Oh.
What to eat, where to get water, how to survive. So when I came up with a name for my firm, I'm like, what best represents? And I know most people don't understand it, but I understand it. You know, Pana Jungla. Pana Jungla was the gold star school for surviving in Panama.
And that's what you're helping people do, survive.
That's it. That's it. So
love it.
You know, the easiest, and again, I get about on a weekday about 100 messages a day. On the weekends, holidays, about 200 comments, messages, and I don't have time for that. I don't. I just don't have time for it. And I'm not trying to be rude, but
it's just you. You only got financial.
I've created well over 1,000 videos about everything they want to know. Right.
Go watch
so
them.
Exactly.
That's what I say.
For those people that are serious about, you know, estate planning outside the United States or immigration. I know there's a lot of people who do immigration. If you want my advice, you know, you want my expertise, I'm happy to help. And I have a full-time immigration attorney that works for me. But, you know, through TikTok is one of the easiest ways. You know, we got a website, panajunglaadvisory.com. So it's not hard to get a hold of me. But people are going to start calling me an asshole because I'm not responding, and I'm telling them right now I'm not going to respond. If you are trying to get immigration advice through private message, I'm not going to do it.
It's because you're not serious. Book
an
appointment. Book.
No, I'm just not going to do it. And I initially I said I'll answer one question. Right. Well, then I say set up a consultation. I like doing this because we have learned a lot about each other in the last 45 minutes,
That's
right?
correct.
That you can't do it through a private message.
No,
You
you
can't.
can't.
Personalities, expectations, all of those things. And not surprisingly, a lot of people are like, I don't want to do that. Well,
You're not serious then. That's about all I can tell you. You
no,
ain't serious.
stay your ass in Des Moines.
There
I
you
don't
go.
care.
We say that all the time. We say so many people in the state as in the United States. And we know that, but we also like to be very honest about that. That, like you said, that 10% that make your booty itch and nothing to do with the 90% that actually do it right. They hire a team. They get their stuff in order. But that 10% will nag the heck out of you.
I would reverse those numbers. I would say, no, I'm serious. 90% are just kind of putting their toe in the water, trying and taking advantage of your time.
Yep.
And there's 10%, and just in my world, that are like,
I'm
boom,
really
yeah, we're going to talk. So the numbers are actually very low, but even 10% of 200 a day is still 20 people.
Still 20 people.
And to the point where I've narrowed down my consultations to Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday because I was losing my voice. I was just losing my voice. I couldn't do it.
Kind of froze. I'm waiting.
So,
there you go.
And I mean, and that's about where I need to be.
Yeah, because you're retiring next week.
Well, but I'm focused on myself, and Cedric will understand this. We got to focus on our wives, right? Relationships.
Yes.
Because these clients aren't going to wipe our ass 20 years from now.
They're not. We are.
And so, our mental health, our physical health, our relationships with our spouses and our family and our friends.
I love it.
And friends in Panama are more important than family in Panama, right?
They are. Yes, they are.
So, I've included Colombia now, because again, and I'll stop with this. Colombia is a better option than Panama for some people.
For some people, I agree with you.
Yeah, like this.
I agree with you.
But it's a great place to visit if you choose Panama.
Hey, he's here for consultations. That book for serious people. Don't be hitting up Jay.
Can we talk?
Can we talk? I got one question to ask you. No, we ain't doing one question.
Got 20
you got a book, a consultation. We wish you a wonderful, happy retirement. I guess I should somewhat say partial retirement because you're really not retiring.
True. And let me say this, I appreciate both of you. I truly do. And I don't say that lightly. I appreciate what you're doing because you may not realize it, but you're affecting a lot of people, right? And in a positive way. And not everyone has an opportunity to do that. So, applaud you as well. So thank you.
Before I let you go, Jay, you answered a question that people have asked us, and I didn't realize it. You said, "What's your why?" And I'm like, "You're right. It's great to know that our grandchildren one day will see what we're doing right now."
We've had that conversation. I've said it to him, but I think it went over his head before. Yeah, I was like, for every generation, memories have gotten better. Whether that was first photography, pictures, whether black and white, whether that was video, whether it was VHS. But I was like, but this here social media content, our grandchildren will be able to show their children. Look at our great grandparents.
The boxes of 35 millimeter Polaroids is gone.
Yeah.
Right. And let's finish with this. I want to ask you a question that I want you to ask your people.
Okay.
If you had an opportunity to go back in time and do a video interview of your grandparents, would you do it?
Oh, absolutely.
100%.
And you're doing it right now.
100%. We had that conversation not too long ago. We literally
told
each other that we're forgetting.
I don't remember what my grandparents sounded like.
We're forgetting how our grandparents' voice sound.
That was strong.
We were raised by our grandparents.
I don't. I know what they look like. I know all the advice they gave. I don't remember what they said.
We don't remember. We had this conversation just a couple of days ago, Jay, and it hurt both of us because we were both grandparent children. We were both raised around our grandparents. And I'm like, my grandmothers, both of them, their voices are leaving my memory. And I hate that.
Well, and I even tell people to to do their recipes, their family recipes on video. You know, used to you inherit grandma's, coffee
Card.
cake.
Yeah, the
Yes.
index card.
But now if you made it on video for your grandchildren to watch,
That's smart. I love that one. You just gave a gem. Because I'm a
all
cook.
right.
I love cooking and I
Thank you.
love them grandbabies. So we got something. Jay,
All right.
happy retirement. Thank you for your time.
Well, thank you.
His
Thank you.
info is going to be in the description. We wish you a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
All right. Until next time, y'all guys, like, share, follow, comment.
Subscribe.
With that, we're out. Peace.